This is the webcast Mobile Legal Apps for Android and Apple. So what is a mobile app? An app, which is short for application, is merely a computer program that works on a mobile device and is analogous to the software or programs that run on your desktop or laptop computer. So what types of apps do lawyers generally use? We can lump them into three basic categories. The first are productivity apps, next are courtroom apps, and last, legal research apps. Productivity apps help with organization and other time management tasks, as well as something that helps you produce an outcome that is something that will be productive for your work flow. Courtroom apps make courtroom tasks, something that might have been done on a laptop or with pen and paper, available in electronic format. And these are the kind of things like discovery tools, electronic voir dire, trial notebooks, and so forth. Legal research apps provide access to electronic databases. Usually they have most of the functions of the desktop browser application, but a lot of times they don't have all of it. So where do you get your apps? Well, for Android, you want to go to the Google Store. It's called Google Play, and it usually comes as an app itself on your Android phone or other device. For Apple, you want to go to the iTunes app, again on your mobile device. If you're going to download an app, you usually want to stick to the apps that have been placed in these two marketplaces, mostly because you can pretty much determine that they are reputable apps. They won't have malicious code, they won't have tracking on them, and they won't pose a security hazard to your mobile device. A third option is to go to a business or an organization's website, and a lot of times you'll be able to download apps from them. If you do this, just keep in mind that you want to make sure you're downloading an app from a reputable source, so an organization or a business that you feel you can trust, because these apps do have the ability to have security issues and to have tracking and other problems associated with them. So for Android, one good place to get a list of apps that are recommended for lawyers is the website The Droid Lawyer. The Droid Lawyer once a year has a list of the year's best apps. So for instance, this is 2013's best Android apps for lawyers. But the Droid Lawyer, which is a site that's devoted to the use of Android phones and tablets in law practice, regularly has reviews of apps that are appropriate for legal work. So here, if you go to Apps for Lawyers, you'll find a pretty exhaustive list of all of the different apps that are available for Droid. The American Bar Association is another good place to find lists of legal apps. This happens to be the Law Practice magazine, which is the magazine for this particular ABA section. And this one is Essential Apps for Busy Attorneys. Taking your apps from a list put out by a reputable organization or a reputable person is a lot better than just going on to Google Play or the iTunes Store and just kind of searching. There are ratings on there so that when you do pull up an app, and for instance Google Play, it will tell you how many stars it got, and it will give you reviews from users, but that still doesn't really tell you about whether or not there are other problems with the app. Another place you can find lists of Android apps is Inside Counsel magazine, and here is a list of 10 helpful legal apps for Android. There are also libguides available online from law libraries that recommend apps. So this one is from the University of Wisconsin Law Library, and it is Android applications for lawyers, law faculty, and law students. And it's really a very good libguide, which gives you basic Android information, and then it runs through the different types of apps. And last, there's the website Android Authority, and again, Android Authority has put out a list of the best Android apps for lawyers and attorneys. For Apple, there are a lot of places to look for good iPad and iPhone legal apps. iPad and iPhone were in the forefront of the mobile device use by attorneys, so they actually have been in the legal world a little bit longer than Android, and so they have a lot more recommendations out there because they have been around a little bit longer. This is a University of Minnesota libguide that gives iPhone and iPad apps. It also gives Android apps in a different tab, and it also has a tab for other mobile devices. Even though Android and Apple are the two really most popular operating systems, there are other apps and other operating systems out there that people use. For instance, BlackBerry is popular. Their market share has decreased over the years, however, as iPad, iPhone, and Android have kind of taken over the market. There's a list here on about.com in the law practice management section for iPad apps for lawyers and law firms. iPad is very popular with attorneys, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. So you'll find a lot of very good iPad app lists. Again, the American Bar Association has multiple publications that give excellent lists of recommended legal apps. This one's GP Solo magazine, which is the publication for the Solo Small Firm and General Practice Division, and they've put out a top iPad apps for lawyers article. MyCase.com has a list of must-have apps for every lawyer's new iPad. And the Droid Lawyer counterpart is iPhone JD. iPhone JD has been around for a very long time and is the equivalent of the Droid Lawyer, where it's concentrating on attorneys using iPhones and iPad in legal practice, and has a wonderful list of reviews of apps and recommended apps for the iOS system. This happens to be a list of advice for attorneys who've just gotten an iPad and are wondering how they go about using it and setting it up for their law practice. And then there's other lists of recommended apps. There are a few guides that actually have Android and Apple on them, and they're very good. One is the UCLA School of Law Hugh and Hazel Darling Law Library LibGuide, Mobile Applications for Law Students and Lawyers. And they have Android, iPhone, iPod, iPad, BlackBerry, Palm, and other devices. So they've really covered a lot of apps here. If you're just going to look at one app LibGuide. The UCLA LibGuide is a very good one, and it's been around for quite a while. Again, University of Wisconsin Law Library has the iPad applications. They have the Android applications, and these are two very extensive guides that go into not only the apps but how to use your device, and recommendations for different types of attorneys and different areas of law. That is very helpful. As you can see, trial and litigation apps, IP attorney apps, transactional lawyer apps, apps for immigration lawyers, and then there's just some fun things like travel apps and news and entertainment apps. InsideCounsel.com has a list of helpful legal apps, and they actually go through whether or not they go through the apps themselves and then kind of tell you later on, is it an iPad app, is it an Android app? For instance, Jury Tracker is a very popular app, and it's iJuror also. This is the kind of thing that you would use for voir dire, where in the past you would have created notes with a pen and paper. Jury Tracker and iJuror give you a lot more functionality in a very quick, easy program that you can carry on your mobile device. And last, ABA Journal has 11 must-have apps for lawyers. Again, it goes through a list of apps and concentrates really on must-have apps. And it's actually, you can see the iPhone JD blog and the Droid Lawyer blog are where they got these apps from. So iPhone JD if you have an iOS system, and Droid Lawyer if you have a Droid, are kind of the places to go for all of the latest news, not only apps, but just how those systems are being used in law practice. Again, I want to mention Law Practice Magazine by the ABA. It's an online magazine that will help you with not only the latest in apps, but all aspects of electronic and digital issues pertaining to your law practice. And this particular issue has a list of essential Android apps for lawyers. So when you're looking at this Law Practice Magazine, you'll see periodically a list of these types of helpful lists, apps that just have come out, apps that really they're being created so often and so fast that if you don't kind of keep up with them, it's very easy for a really good app to slip your mind or get lost in the shuffle. And so here you can see essential Android apps for busy attorneys. And this is what the online magazine looks like. So if you have any more questions, you're welcome to come to the reference desk at Hofstra Law Library. Any one of the librarians would be happy to discuss apps further with you. Or you can contact me. I'm the Electronic Services Librarian at 516-463-0408, or email me at lawdyd@hofstra.edu.